Hey, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. Well, let's take a look at government intervention from the perspective of what the IB wants you to be able to do with this information once you have it in your head. Because you know it's not good enough just to have a bunch of content. You got to be able to do stuff with it. And the difficult thing sometimes for IB students is to try to figure out what you should do with it, right? So the IB gives us that information, and this video is designed to let you know what the IB wants you to be able to do in government intervention specifically. All right, so let's take a look. Cool. What do you got to do? You got to define and give examples of an indirect tax. You need to explain the difference between a specific tax and a percentage tax. You need to explain the importance of elasticity and understanding the effect of a tax on the demand for and supply of a product. That's super important, right? Because as soon as you put a tax on something, the price goes up. The more elastic it is, the more impact you're going to have on the quantity demanded because the price is going to go up. So governments want to know if you got a tax, maybe we should put it on things that are fairly inelastic, like, for example, cigarettes, as you know well. Explain how the imposition of an indirect tax may affect consumers, producers, and the government. So take a look at that tax diagram. Do you understand what the impacts are on consumers? Do you know what the impacts are on suppliers? Do you know what the impacts is on the government? If not, go back and study. If you do, roll on. In terms of subsidy, you need to be able to define it. Well, that's obvious. You need to then also be explain how the granting of a subsidy may affect consumers, producers, and the government. That's kind of the same thing we did up here, but now you're doing it for a subsidy instead of a tax. You need to be able to explain, distinguish between, illustrate, and give examples of, oh, this is a new topic. Sorry, that's subsidies, okay? Cool. Now, what about the minimum and maximum price controls? Same gig. You got to be able to explain it, distinguish between, and illustrate, give examples of maximum and minimum prices. Those are price floors and price ceilings. Can you incorporate that knowledge into written work, draw it on a diagram, and explain it? If you can't, study some more. Discuss the consequences of price controls on the stakeholders. So how do price controls, that would be minimum price controls or maximum price controls, impact stakeholders? Who's that? Oh, check it. Those are consumers, producers, and government. All right? So you got to do those plus the following things. And you might notice that at the end of all of these, it says HL, HL, HL. So these are the things that if you're an HL student, you need to be able to do. If you're an SL student, don't worry about it. Push stop on this video and move on because you don't have to do this stuff. All right, you HLers, you need to be able to explain the significance of elasticity of demand and supply and assessing the incidence of an indirect tax. So how does elasticity impact the decision of an indirect tax? Using equations of linear functions, you need to show and explain the effects of indirect taxes on a market. You need to illustrate and calculate how the incidence of a tax differs for consumers, producers, and the government. You need to do the same thing, using equations of linear functions to show and explain the effects of subsidies on a market. And also, you need to be able to calculate the effects of minimum and maximum prices. You know it in diagrams with numbers because you're HLer, and that's what you do because that's the extra 15 to 20% you need to learn. All right, my friends, there you have it. Government intervention. Can you do those things? That's what the IB needs you to do. If you can't do that, I promise you, you're not ready. Okay, so go back and study some more. If you're feeling good about that stuff, sweet. Go to bed, feel proud, and get up in the morning and know you're going to do well on either your unit test or on the IB exam at the end of your 2-year cycle. All right, my friends, be good to one another. Do something kind today. I hope you thought this video was helpful, and we'll talk to you in a bit.